Hey there, everybody. It's Dr. Roto along with Adam Ronis. We're from Scout Fantasy Sports, and we're here today talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. When you think of the Pittsburgh Steelers, you are thinking one of the teams who always seems to be making the playoffs. And now you look at some rosters and they can't find one guy that you can put on your fantasy football team. You can put a bunch of Steelers on them. So Adam Ronis, Steelers, it all begins with Le'Veon Bell. He's holding out. He deserves the money. He deserves the cash. Pay this guy, and then when he gets paid, draft him number one.
Yeah, he definitely deserves the money. He's been putting up big numbers every single year. He's been a linchpin for fantasy teams. He does it all, on the ground, especially in the passing game for PPR formats. That's why we love him so much. What's shocking to me is that he's never had double-digit rushing touchdowns, and last year was his worst yards per carry at 4. But he still produces. He does get banged up at times. He'll miss a game here or there, but nothing significant the last couple of years. Still only 26 years old, and obviously he wants to get paid, and I can't blame him. But either way, he's going to be the first or second pick off your board, whether it's PPR or non-PPR.
All right, you're in Las Vegas. You have pick number one. You're taking Bell. You're taking Zeke. You're taking Gurley. You're taking Johnson. Who's your pick?
Yeah, I think as of today, and this could change, I'm leaning Bell. Just because we've seen him hold up over huge workloads. We know he's going to catch the football. I would like to see more touchdowns. I know a lot of people are saying Todd Gurley, and a lot of that is based off the touchdowns last year. They finally did get him involved in the passing game more, but we know what we're getting with Bell. We know the Steelers are going to feed him. The offense is all about him and Antonio Brown. So as of today, I would go Bell, but I do think you can make the argument for Gurley. I really do. So if someone said, no, you're crazy, it's Gurley, I wouldn't argue with you.
The Steelers brought in Jalen Samuels from NC State. They've got Connor. I don't think either of these guys are threats to Bell at all. Is the fact that Todd Haley's in Cleveland mean anything to you? I mean, that offense, I don't like Todd Haley much. I don't think he's a great guy, and he certainly was a terrible coach for the Cardinals, but he was a pretty good offensive coordinator. Does his not being there detract from Bell at all for you?
No, I don't think so. We've seen it. It's going to be the Bell show. That's what they do. They feed him heavily. I don't think it changes much at all. He's been getting it done for years, and they continue to ride him, and I don't see that changing.
All right, let's take a look at their wide receivers. They've got two guys who are stars, and then the third guy I want to talk about. It all begins with Antonio Brown. This guy is a PPR machine. I've got to think you're picking number 5. You're picking number 6. You have to take Antonio Brown. There are some weeks, Adam, where this guy's getting 200 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. He can literally win you like 4 or 5 weeks by himself.
There's no question about it. I mean, how many times have we seen him put up 25 to 40 points in PPR formats? He gets peppered with targets. He runs great routes. He gets open. He's just the best. He gives you a high floor each and every single week. And this year, you're going to probably get him cheaper than ever because you could realistically make the case for him going number 1 overall. Obviously, people want to get that bell cow running back that is there on all 3 downs. It's becoming more important, and running backs are getting pushed up the board. I've seen some drafts where Antonio Brown goes number 7 overall. Imagine sitting 7th overall, and you're like, Antonio Brown in my lap? Thank you very much. Yes, you'll have to figure out the running back position, but you know what? In a redraft league, you can figure it out. You can find someone in the 2nd round, maybe in the 4th, and of course the waiver wire where guys are going to emerge. I know it's a little bit different in best ball formats where you really want to lock in those running backs early, but you are going to be able to get Antonio Brown possibly 5th, 6th, 7th this year, and you just know what you're getting. It's like money in the bank as long as he is healthy, and you cannot pass it up. That's what you want in the 1st round. You want reliability. You want to get someone you know what you're going to get and not shoot for upside in round 1. That's not the round to do it.
It's not only reliability, right? And consistency. It's the upside. To me, Julio Jones-Roto, Beckham Jr., and Brown are like the 3 guys that can have those huge, huge games, right? Robert Woods has a good game. It's 108 yards and a touchdown. But Antonio Brown could go for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns and literally win you 3 to 4 weeks because when he puts up that 40-burger, there's no way that your opponent can come back from that.
Yeah, he just makes it so much easier for the rest of your team. I had Brown, I think, in 1 league last year, and I won the league because getting him in that 1st round, getting that solid production every single week, and it allows you to take maybe a little bit more chances later on too, because in the back of your mind, I have 15, 20 points pretty much guaranteed almost every week. So I can be a little bit more riskier as I go along. And that's part of the roster composition and the makeup of your team and how you build it.
All right, so let's talk about his partner out there. So I can just tell you this, on Scout Fantasy Sports, you and I write daily articles trying to help people win their fantasy championships. I can't tell you how many weeks I wrote for the waiver wire article, grab Juju Smith-Schuster. Every week, grab him, grab him, grab him. Finally, I say something like, I can't tell you to grab him anymore because he's got to be gone. This guy turned out to be a star in the making. There's nothing I don't like about his game.
Yeah, he was explosive, big plays all the time, finding the end zone. And, he did it only on 79 targets. Now, Martavis Bryant is gone. That should open up. I know there are some people saying, well, there's not enough for him because we know it's Bell and we know it's Brown. But Juju, if he can see 100 to 110 targets, which is certainly, you would think, feasible this year, can still put up big numbers. Obviously, he was relying a little bit on the touchdown last year. I think he had 7. And remember, he wasn't playing as a big piece in the offense early on. Now, the thing about Juju that I worry about is his price tag is going to skyrocket. Right now, he's going
It's third round, right?
Third, fourth round. And the reason is, I think part of it is, number one, he's a guy that everyone likes. He's present on social media. He's friendly. People want to root for this guy. We know about him, and he puts himself in the mix. And I think that, and mentally, people see that, and they want him because they want to root for him. Now, I think the numbers will be there, but it might get to a certain point where you say, wow, is he going too early? That's the only concern I have with him.
I look at it this way. And one of my old friends that I played fantasy football with 100 years ago used to say this. He always said he wanted guys on good offenses. And you can't ask for a much better offense than the Steelers. The second receiver on the Steelers is better than the first receiver on other teams. So I agree that Juju is not going to see as many targets, but I also think Antonio Brown could see double coverage. And what Juju does is he is going to be open. He is a difference maker. I'm with you. I want to take him. If I have like the 12th pick or the 11th pick, I'll take him at the end of the third, beginning of the fourth.
Yeah, he might make it back. I've seen in some, but we're in late June now, and we know how things change as we get to August and Vegas. And especially if he has like one explosive touchdown in the preseason, you know how people react. It's all over social media. The highlights are playing, and then people will say, I want Juju on my team, and I'm going to reach for him. But we do like him. The talent is there. You do want to invest in a big offense. The Steelers are still one of the top offenses in the NFL. So, yes, I want to, especially since we play in so many leagues, you want to get him in a couple because you want to have those shares.
So they drafted, interestingly enough, Martavis Bryant has gone to the Raiders, and he may be out of the league for a little bit because of his getting suspended. But the Steelers draft one of my favorite receivers in college football, a guy named James Washington from Oklahoma State. So let me just say something here. James Washington runs like a 4.5, 4.40. Not the biggest guy, not the fastest guy. But if you watched him in college live or you look at any of his YouTube videos, this guy's a playmaker. I can say about guys like Jerry Rice, Chris Carter, Steve Largent. Now, I'm not comparing him to those guys, but I'm comparing him to this way. Jerry Rice ran a 4.6, but I never saw anybody catch him on a Sunday. Chris Carter wasn't the fastest guy around, but nobody could catch him either. James Washington plays faster than he is, and if this guy makes it on the field, he could be a special player.
Yeah, I think he's someone to keep an eye on. I don't know if there's enough room to use him consistently every single week in this offense. Someone maybe you draft late in a draft with 20 rounds. Obviously, if there's an injury to Smith-Schuster or Brown, he'll obviously see an uptick in targets. Definitely someone to keep an eye on, though. I think it's hard, though, for 3 receivers and Bell in this offense to all be productive week in, week out.
And you're forgetting a guy named Vance McDonald who came over.
I knew we were getting to him. I was waiting for you to get to him.
I'm getting to him. So what happened? Vance McDonald to me played for the 49ers. I used to like him, but he had a lot of injuries. But he goes now to Pittsburgh. Look, Jesse James, a big dude in the end zone, the red zone. I get that. But Vance McDonald's a pretty good receiver. And I think Ben Roethlisberger, who always used Heath Miller the right way, can use McDonald similarly.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you're getting him right now as your second tight end. I just took him in a best ball draft as my second tight end. And I think he's going to remain there. Injuries were a big factor for him last year. We didn't see him till late in the season. And he had a few nice games. So we know tight ends, very few consistent ones outside the elite ones. But McDonald is someone that I'm going to take late, especially in our drafts where we do 20 rounds. I'm going to take a second tight end. McDonald is definitely one of the guys I'm going to target because he could have some big weeks in this offense.
Oh, absolutely. I think anytime from like round 13 to 17, that second tight end range, he's there. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Big Ben Roethlisberger. You know, the struggles on the road, how good he was at home. I don't know if I totally buy into that, even though the numbers support that. Look, he's a winner. He has some big games when they play at Heinz Field. When Antonio Brown goes off, it's Ben Roethlisberger to Brown. Those guys literally win your money in DFS as well.
Yeah, I like him better in best ball formats because, as you mentioned, he has some of those big weeks. I think he had a 500-yard passing game last year. He only had 2 games of more than 2 passing touchdowns. He had 5 games of 1 touchdown pass or fewer. So he's just very erratic. Overall, the numbers for the year are pretty good, but they're not elite. Like, I don't target him as my QB1. I think the reputation of the Steelers offense puts him at a level where I don't love him. We know there's a lot of depth at quarterback this year. And I think once you get into that 8 to even 16 range, like, you can make a case for all those guys. So Roethlisberger is not someone that I target. He would have to really fall far. The home road splits, at least last year, wasn't as bad. The 2 previous years, definitely. And he had from 2016, was it 2015 and 2016, 50% of his games, he had 1 touchdown pass or fewer. That's too much inconsistency.
I know, but what makes it interesting, though, is that he gets a lot of yards, right? He can get 316 yards and 1 touchdown because when they're on the 5-yard line, it goes to Bell.
But then he comes back the next week and throws 220 and 1 touchdown. So
I know. Look, I think Roethlisberger is best drafted somewhere between rounds 12 and 15, where I already have another quarterback I like better than him.
But don't you feel people take him earlier than that? That's what I see. I think
yes, but not in Vegas, not in our high stakes leagues. Maybe in their home leagues, but not in high stakes leagues.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't. I think you're right, and I think we're going to take 2 quarterbacks in a 20-round draft. I won't do it in a 16-round draft.
No, in 20, I'm taking 2 for sure.
Right, in a 20-round draft, I will take 2. So you could pair him up with someone else, maybe even a young upside quarterback like a Patrick Mahomes. And if Mahomes obviously hits and becomes the Deshaun Watson of last year, then you just play him every week. Or if Roethlisberger has a great matchup at home and you like it. So
right, if Mahomes is playing Denver, you don't like it, you avoid it.
Right. So to me, he's not someone that I want to rely on as my QB1 every single week. If the price is cheap and I compare him with someone else, I'm okay with it.
Would you argue, or would you agree, that I liked your point before, that maybe Ben Roethlisberger in a best ball format, yes, he might be a top 7 quarterback in a best ball league, not in a regular league, but in a best ball league?
Yeah, you can make a case for that because, you know, some of the other quarterbacks might be more consistent on a week-to-week basis, but they don't have the ceiling of a 4-touchdown game, 400 yards like a Roethlisberger does. Now, we might only see it 3-4 times a year, but if you're in a redraft league, you might sit him that week. You might not use it. Where in a best ball, you don't have to worry about it. You're getting that. So I do feel that he is a better best ball format quarterback.
Absolutely. And if you want to play best ball leagues, you want to play in the online championship, you want to play dynasty leagues, you want to play in the fantasy football world championship, you go to playffwc.com right now and you sign up. We had a big online championship draft last night, and we're going to be having them throughout the summer, pretty much every day, Adam. You could be drafting almost every day at playffwc.com.
That's what you want. People love to draft, get in now. As we mentioned previously, the online championship winner drafted their team in June. So you need to get those values now before they skyrocket. Because when we get to Vegas, man, there's no value to be had. It's a lot amazing.
Right now you can get James Washington probably in round 19. And then if there's an injury in August, he's probably like a 6th-round player at that point.
No, it's absolutely true. A guy like Anthony Miller going very late right now. He starts and has a couple games in the preseason. Forget it. You'll be looking at him in the first 10 rounds.
Exactly. Crazy stuff. All right. I'm Dr. Roto. He's Adam Ronis. You can find us at scoutfantasysports.com. Have a good one. Be well. Take care.